So yes, it's Casual Monday here at Sales and Technology Consultants in the sound booth that we're working on. I also have two monitors now, so I'm tired of doing that stuff. Welcome, Amy. So we're just getting started. A couple of things. Do a quick. I just finished that one. So my trail mix. There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so I think I left you with, was it the project build a discount approval process? I don't remember. I need to go look. Let's go see which one I'm not even sharing my screen yet, am I? All right. So I think I've got all of my. Nope. Yeah, there we go. Nope, that's not it. So what do y'all remember? Was it build a discount approval process was the project? Or was it the process builder project that y'all had to do as an assignment? Don't make me go look. Let's go see.
I thought it was the process builder. Is that correct?
You guys can look on your screen and see which one's done or not done. I can't. Mine's already done. So
what we were supposed to do, Service Cloud.
Okay. All right, well, there you go. Oh yeah, Service Cloud for Lightning Experience. This is good, right? Because it is a little longer and we are going to go through it. So let me ask you this. So Amy, you and Julia were together, I believe. There was guys against the gals this week. Or Julia?
Yeah, we didn't get to connect actually, but
No, I think we talked about that earlier.
All right, let's see. What day did we? Yeah, all right, so here we go. So here's. Yes, Service Lightning. Okay, so whether you connect or not, Gil, were you able to connect with Brian?
No, I emailed him, but I didn't hear back.
Okay, so we'll see what happens between all you guys. So let's see. So let's just jump in and begin our service journey, and let's see what the trailhead said, and then any Q&A that you guys had about it, right? So when we're going to service because this will lead us to the automation that mirrors and mimics the lead process, because these are people connecting to you from outside your org into your org. That's what leads do, and then that's what cases do. So I want to make sure you understand what the Service Cloud is, the benefits of it, and then make sure you know how to create and update a service case. So first of all right. So service is about solving issues or solving problems, answering questions. All of those are issues, and cases are an object in Salesforce that's basically an issue tracker. And that issue tracker is basically designed to help you manage your external agreements with your customers. So if somebody signs up for the bronze, the silver, the gold, the platinum, the uranium, the spontaneum plan, whatever plans they get, then what you end up doing is you end up, when you create a case on that account, a little timer begins with the cases to say, is this resolved within the time frame that you agreed upon? And then so if it isn't, or if it is getting close, the case will go through a series of escalations, in order to get all the right people involved in order to solve the problem. Because, you know, if everybody in the company hunkered down and collaborated and got together, every problem could be solved like that. The problem is there's more problems than everybody could use to solve that. So cases flatten the curve, if you will, right? So, when you start to spot and see trends, typically it starts with email, right? People email you or somebody in the company. They don't get a response. They get a response, but they don't get a resolution, or they don't get an answer. You know, all those kind of things kind of impact service. So, so in order to, like, besides all of the soft skills of customer service, right? This is the the software piece of customer service is really making sure that leadership as well as workership can find, manage, track, and resolve customer issues, right? So that's how they came up with Service Cloud. And that, look, why do we need to do this? Because customers demand more and more attention and support than typically you have the bandwidth to do with the number of employees. So you have to reduce your employee count while you increase your customer count, meanwhile maintaining levels of service that meet or exceed people's expectation. And I've taught customer service quite a bit, used it quite a bit, been experienced, been the recipient as well as the deliverer of customer service. And I can tell you this, customer satisfaction is a moving target all times. Why? Because as people get accustomed to the level of service, they want more. That's what human beings want, right? So they want more. So Salesforce has really been adding to and improving customer service for a long time in the Service Cloud. So the Service Cloud is that part of the application that allows you to manage and track and really design a system of customer service that keeps your customers happy, your support team really aware of what's happening as much as anything else in the game, and you know, making sure that you can catch messages no matter what happens. So again, at the heart of it is what's called the Service Console. Now, did anybody on this call actually load up the Service Console as a way to, you know, check out that particular interface? Did anybody do that?
Yes.
All right, we're definitely gonna try that today. Make sure you get that. Oh wait, am I sharing? I am sharing. Okay, so we're definitely gonna do that today. Hang on a second, I gotta make sure I get my chat up. I'll get my chat going on. Again, chat's gonna be a little weird because it's on the wrong side of the screen. I got two screens now. So if you have any questions, just chat them. But you know, it's just four of us, so we can knock this out. All right. So I even said this before that even sales organizations, depending on the type of sales you do, will even use the console view of records in order to manage and maintain consistency while you bounce around with different customers. So a case is a record in Salesforce, like an opportunity or a lead, that have associated with it a process. What do I mean by process? Well, it's a series of stages or statuses that you can use to track where that record is along a stated process in your company. So it's the ability to go from new to working to waiting to resolved or not resolved as far as cases, so you can manage that case. And all the unifying information about a case comes together in that case record, so that you really have everything you need in order to answer the customer's question or resolve their issues. Now, how those cases get created is varied, and really, as you know, one of the challenges used to be you had customer service, right? You call up a company and say, press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, or hold on, and the next available operator will get to you, right? Because the operator would answer the call and then direct it. So we're trying more than ever to guide people to the right specialist so that their issues can be resolved quickly and easily without having to educate your staff on what's happening with it. So those things come in by email, phone, web chat, social media, text messages, and they've all got to come in and connect to that one record so that, you know, there's no lost bits of communication like so often happens. Then you can add what's called automatic workflows like we've been talking about, right? So process builder, workflow rules, flow, all of those things can move the record along based on the information you have, especially when you're using something like Essentials, where you don't have the beauty or the ability to use record types to kind of shorten the process by changing the pick list values that you have available to you. So they also, workflows also notify your team, notify your leadership about different stages that might get missed and all of that. Now, knowledge and the knowledge base is definitely a lightning feature. It replaces solutions in Classic. This is important. And I'm not sure, again, I haven't taken the practice test. We'll take them next month. We'll do some practice tests and we'll start reviewing the work we do later in April in order to kind of go through some of these, see if they're still throwing solution questions out there. But basically, think of knowledge articles as a recipe for different cakes that you need to bake for your customers, right? So it also communicates anything internally and externally, depending on where you post that knowledge article, how you get that knowledge article out to a customer. That could include specific information from their org, right? Don't you love when you get instructions that are really based on, you know, your information, not generic information? Well, knowledge allows you to do that as well. So the other thing is you've got metrics that, because customer service is so closely related to call center, there's a lot of instant metrics that you need to be on top of, because you know, there's a lot of timers that could be going off any moment of any day in your organization in order to support customers. Now, service is also available to more than just your customer service people, right? So your salespeople can see your service records, your service people can see some of the sales data, if you want to put it that way. And it's about providing that 360 view of the customer that customers need in order to help your people as well as their people identify and resolve issues that they're having with whatever you're selling. And then, you know, this is a Salesforce sales pitch. Of course, you get automatic and timely releases. So all of the features and functions of the fourth industrial revolution, that is the information age, especially in the cloud, allow you to connect all that data to help you more quickly and easily resolve your issues. Now, I think if you haven't watched this video, let's just see what happens on this particular video. So a couple of things I want to make sure you saw in that video, and that is the service console.
History.
Hush, hush, hush. Okay, a couple of things you want to notice in this video. So the first thing is, this video sucks. All right, let's go back here, right? So this is the console view, right? Well, actually, let's start with this. So typically, email to case was the first technological breakthrough that a customer could send you an email, and then basically, here's what happens, so you understand the process. The email address that they're sending from, if that lives in Salesforce, it automatically, just like it does the Salesforce side panel, it automatically associates this case record to that contact, because every contact has an email, because buildings don't have thumbs and they can't move the mouse and send you an email, right? They can't type a message. The subject line of the email translates into the subject line of the case, and the body of the email translates into the body of the case. That shows up on the case record itself. So, and on the case,
once that case lands in the agent's Lightning console, they've got a 360-degree view.
So let's talk about what that is in the console, right? So And when you normally look at a case record, or when you normally look at like an opportunity record, you get all the details on a separate tab. Well, that lives in a little component on the left. So you have the subject, you have the description, you know who owns it, you know the priority, as well as the status of the case, which is all things you can manage, as well as the details about the contact, the person who reported the case. Now, any past history will live. Now, this is a standard page layout. Remember, we can customize our page layouts. So while you might like it, you might not love it. And so you might want to change it, and that's totally fine. But let's just talk about what's there. The other thing is the highlights panel, which is at the top, which looks like it regurgitates the subject line, so you kind of know the case you're working on. Now, in what's called the feed layout, so in the middle of the page is the feed. So whether you have posts from chatter, which is the communications you're having with people inside your organization about a case, you've also got the emails from the customer, any call logs from any phone calls you made, any text posts, any other type of posts that came in from your social channels, and then a list of your status changes as it's moved through your process, which are just those Uber pick lists that move it through the stages. To the right, you've got knowledge articles. Knowledge is that set of articles that you'll categorize, and we'll spend more time on this with the if you end up wanting to get your consultant certifications, then Service Cloud is built on a series of articles that, based upon the data or the products or the types of customers you're dealing with, would automatically filter out articles that match those types of records. So if for Julia, for you, like you might have help articles for your consultant base versus your client base versus your internal base, all depending on the kind of data you handle. Now, the related tab next to knowledge is just that, all of your related items related to that case. So the account, the contact, everything you see on the left in components would also be on the related list because it's just Salesforce. The one thing that the console does is it shifts navigation from a top-down hierarchy to a side-by-side methodology. What that means is this. So these records are opened in tabs, and typically you open your cases, which are given numbers in each tab. Below that, I think in one of the pictures they showed one of the tabs before they started moving it around. You had, there weren't any sub-tabs until they clicked. So as you open links in the case, those sub-tabs provide you the ability to kind of navigate around maybe their full contact record, maybe their full agreement. Wherever you go to under that primary tab, all of those other resources will be sub-tabs to that record. Does that make sense, everybody? So while you got your feed, you can email, communicate internally and externally. You can pull in articles, send them to customers, but also any other records you need to flip-flop around. It keeps it all in one page, so you don't have to click and refresh, but rather just click and read. So it's a little bit faster of the process. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so look, when you get into service, that's what all this is, and that's what we just talked about. The benefits of the cloud is the ability to, because you might send this person an email, and while you're waiting for a response from them about direction A or direction B that you're going to take it, and simultaneously waiting for internal chatters or something else, then you can move to a new case and work your list. So again, this is just a list view. You can collapse that side panel, work the case, open a new case, work the case, open a new case, however you want to do it. So again, it's like a very, very robust Outlook view, like the task view. It's a very, very, very robust view in that regard. And all of those things, this is, no, that's pretty much it. So in order to create a case, you could create it manually. You could also have it created automatically from either email, your website, chatter, like not chatter, but chat, and a bunch of other things, right? So what they want you to do is create a new case using the global action, which is fine. We can do that. And I think we're going to end up doing this for the challenge. Maybe, maybe not. Now, one thing about case comments is that as you add case comments, there's a feature in Salesforce that allows you to send those comments out to the customer so that while you're taking a note on, or you're making a comment on that particular case, you're also communicating with the customer, which is a great time saver, so you don't have to stop, copy and paste, or anything like that. Just send it out directly. So this is a good start. I can't take the quiz, but, oh, I know how to take the quiz. Hang on. So what is the Service Cloud? Let's see, an easy-to-use customer service application, a customer service application for Lightning, a console available for the service platform, a feed to track customers in Lightning. I would say it's A. That's my guess. You tell me what your guesses are. Let's see. 2, what are the key benefits of using Lightning service? I think C, pre-configured pages and productivity tools for service. Let's see. What are the key benefits of Lightning service? There's a service console. Pre-configured for you in the console. Okay. So pre-configured is the key word for me. So pre-configured. Service lists, feeds, and articles. I'm going to go with A again because it's got service lists and articles better than pre-configured pages and productivity tools for service.
C.
Is C the right answer? Check it.
Begin.
C?
Yeah, it's A. Yeah, for 2 is C.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was close. Service lists is what killed it, and articles because lists are not pre-configured, but the pages and productivity tools are. To update a customer case with a comment, select the case from the Cases tab and share a post. Then click save, click the comment on case icon. I'm going to say it's C again. How did I do, Gil?
A.
Select the case from the Cases tab and share a post. All right. Sharing a post.
If I wrote it down correctly, I think it was.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. It all makes sense. So anyway, cool. Let's go to administrate. All right, let's talk about administering Service Cloud. I'm just going to run it incognito. So let's see. So setting it up. So there's actually a service setup that they've been adding to orgs in Lightning lately, and that takes you to that service setup home, which is that couple of flows. So you can add your service Lightning users. What that basically is a permission for your users to use the console, whether it's Sales Console or Service Console. It's definitely a different view for that. Let's see. It's a little chilly down here, even with my little schmancy. What do you call this little, whatever this little hoop-de-doop thing is called. All right.
A scarf.
It's not a scarf. It's technically, it's a little different than a scarf, Amy. It's this military version of a scarf that allows you to go full on, like desert ready. It's a desert ready scarf. I don't know the name of it. Mr. Eisen knows the name of it. All right, so here we go. So there's some recommended flows, but it's kind of a scarf. You're right, but I'm just saying I don't know what the actual name of it is. It also got a little performance dashboard, as well as what are they saying? The guided setup, service metrics, recommended setup, and then setup tree. Wherever that. Oh, that's the setup tree to get to specific things like omni-channel, different channels, your users. All of that automation is kind of filtered, just as it relates to Service Cloud, so you can manage it. Now, when it says how to get service set up, obviously click the setup, go to service setup, and then follow those little prompts and flows, which should, generally walk you through most everything you need, in addition to any other apps you may have purchased from the App Exchange in order to kind of speed up your process. So again, this is the essential. As long as you know that all those things are available, you'll be ready. The Service Console is one of those apps that you'll see. And when we bust open our org, I'll show you where that lives. And in the app setting page, there's a couple of things that you can add. And that, I'm not really sure this is on the test or not, but if you noticed in the video, down at the bottom left corner, when it comes to Service Console, there's a couple of things you can add, like the utility bar. And in that utility bar, you can add a notes link, a phone link, macros, and almost any other Lightning component really can be added now to that. Basically, you have the 4 stages of setup. So you want to automate, you want to route customers' questions and comments to the right people and places. So that's part of your assignment. You want to add your channel, your service channels. You want to capture knowledge. So if you remember on the user record, you've got a knowledge user selection. So if you have the knowledge license, some of the users could actually create articles based on the comments that they used or the instructions they send out. You can grab all that. And then, of course, you can include AI and bots to kind of guide and direct people as well. So AI and bots is like the outer layer of what you're trying to accomplish. Let's see what the 2 key benefits of Lightning Service Setup are. Recommendations and flows, that seems right. So guided setup flows, recommended setup. I think those 2 are going to be recommendations and flows. I'm going to say B and D. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that. We'll see how it works. So to get to Lightning Service Setup, let's see. Yep, we see the second stage in the setup process for Service Cloud is to second stage. Let's see what the second stage, add multiple channels. Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to guess it's B. But what would I say? What can I I'm going to sign up with a different email address. Let's see if this works. I doubt it may not. No. Never mind. All right. This way, email. So come on. What'd you do? Single use code. There we go. 908. Can't believe I'm just figuring out this. Well, doing something about it. Figured it out a long time ago. Doing something about it. Company name. Now I'll add this later. So let's see how this works. This might actually work. This might actually keep my sane. And why keep me sane? Let's see what it is. So let's see what the Service Cloud challenge is. Recommendations, service manager setup. Oh, wait. Oh, oh, okay. So it's D. And then C. And then B. And there we go. So that was the answers. If you caught it, awesome. If you didn't, tackle the next unit. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, now we're going to talk about automation, right? So routing cases is the core of automation for both leads and cases. So assignment, and if you remember, we talked about the order of execution, which is the first thing that happens is that a record has to be valid because nothing happens until a record is saved. So because nothing happens until a record is saved, the record itself, the data in the record has to be valid data, both from a system point of view as well as your organizational point of view. So if you've said that a record can't be saved without certain information within parameters, that's great. We can't, it's got to be valid. Then once a record is saved, then it must be assigned, and then you can respond, right? And then you can do the work, and then you can, part of your work is completing processes, and after that is escalation. So let's see if I did. Oh no, so right after validation is evaluation. So valid record, then am I supposed to do anything on this record? Is it brand new? Is it edited, or is it edited to meet the criteria? Those are my 3 evaluation criteria. Once that triggers true, then it will evaluate the criteria and take whatever action there is. And those actions are first to assign, then to respond, then to do workflow, then processes, then escalation. But you remember on the test, because it's multiple choice, all you got to remember is the one that begins with V and ends with E. So V, V, V. So validation and escalation. There's only one answer that has both like that. So let's talk about case management tools. So the first tool is queues. So when it comes to cases as well as leads, typically those types of records, because they come in randomly, they come in sporadically, they come in consistently, then they need to have a place to sit and age, if you will. So the queue allows your team to, allows you to accept the record, respond appropriately before it's actually assigned to an individual. So it could be assigned to a queue first. So in order to, besides getting all of your email notifications done, you also want to build any queues. Then the assignment rule automatically assigns those records to the right queue or the right individual, depending on where it's at. Escalation rules are the rules that if you've got a 4-hour time limit to get something done and it's not done within the 4 hours, then you're breaking your agreement with the customer. So maybe it's an hour process. So at hour 3, you just escalate it, send it to someone else. Because it's been escalated, they take immediate action on it, becomes the urgent and important priority. They knock it out and get it done in time. Now, auto response rules send those only once does an assignment rule run or an auto response rule, right? So they only run once to respond to assign the record to the right place and then responds. Notifications are email communications that happen along the process, but auto response and auto assignment rules happen immediately upon the record creation. So how do you plan for this, right? So do you have a group of users that answer every question or only certain types of questions? Do they need certain skills? And when we get into Service Cloud, skills-based routing, matching with customer problems that require those skills, Omnichannel allows you to do those skills-based routings and bypass other queues, like press 1 for English or 2 for Spanish. So do you have a structure to support? Is everybody get the same level of support, or do you offer premium cut the line services, if you will? But if they work as a team, you would create queues. If you do have structured report, then you could have queues and or assignment rules. If you have skill sets or specific products that people work on, then the assignment rules work for that. Escalation works with escalation rules. Obviously, if there's a problem within a time limit, you want that. Basically, escalations are reassignment rules. And you can have multiple time bombs that then make races. And then whether or not customers, how they should get a response. So while this is auto response rules are one, you also need to turn on comment notification. That is a tool built into Service Cloud that you will need to know for the test. We'll talk about that more, but it's not part of this initial automation that they're talking about, but it is part of it as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a case queue. My hunch, if I look at the challenge, is going to be, so we're going to create a case queue called panel 1. My hunch is that the same one we're creating? We're going to create 2. So we're going to create one for platinum support and one for panel 1, which is, this is practice, and the other is going to be something else. So let me launch my playground. Whoa, hang on. Oh, I'm in a different playground. No. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my other one because I want to get this complete. Although, does it matter? Hang on, Dominic's thinking for a second. Dominic. Marsha. I have a client who's one of the employees' name is Robert Brady. And I'm like, really? And he's like 58, 60, somewhere in there. He's in the late 50s. And I'm like, dude, you must have had a horrible high school. He said, yep. He had to go. He goes by Brett. Okay. So we did that one. Let's set it up. So we're going to jump through this one and see how this one works. So we looked at that, create a case queue. We'll do it with the challenge, but basically you set up a queue and then you add the objects that can own that queue as well as the users assigned to the queue. Now, a couple things happen when you create a queue. One, it creates a list view for the queue on that object so that everybody that's part of the queue gets that list view automatically so they can look at all the records that are owned by the queue because that's a different kind of ownership. The other thing that happens with a queue is that when users interact with a record, they can cherry pick the records that they want to complete as a member of the queue. They're not bound to, you're not assigning them the one record, right? Oh, I forgot to do let me put this in the chat. You guys can see it. So we're in 4, just jump right to this one if you're not there. So you're going to add yourself to the queue so you can get a sense of what they need to do. As an admin, it's always a good idea to do that. And then you can take yourself off the queue later on, but testing is critical. Now, remember, you can add users to the queue, but you can add individual users, or you can add them by role or by group, or lots of ways you can add users to the queue. I think you're probably going to be limited for yourself the way it works, but that'll be okay. And then you can see the queue. Now, once you create an assignment rule, remember, you can have as many assignment rules as you want, but only one can be active at a time. Just like auto response rules, just like most automation, right? You can't have Salesforce making choices on its own. Even though Einstein is supposed to be intelligent, that ain't how it works, right? They all work within the boundaries of certainty. So we want to make sure we maintain that. So when you create an assignment rule, you're going to go through the criteria that will trigger each step of assigning. So really what you want to map out first is who are the different people that would get or the different types of cases or leads. And then you create the criteria in the least likely first all the way down to the most likely condition. So the most likely condition is no condition, right? So at the very end, your last step in an assignment rule process is going to be, no criteria, just you. It's the catch-all, everything. If you put that one first in the criteria of your node and it matches no criteria, it's going to trigger that case and assign it to that all the time before it ever gets down to more specific criteria. So it's a little bit of a reverse funnel where you want your least likely assignments to happen earlier in the assignment role steps versus later in the assignment steps. So that's what's called the sort order, right? And so, it takes a little bit of reverse engineering to walk that out and make that happen. Then, of course, you're going to potentially notify the user that they've just been assigned a record, right? So one way we do that is through emails, not chatter, through emails. So they're going to get the assignment, they're going to see it. Now, there's lots of ways to ignore communication. One of them is to, in the inbox, you can set up filters like in Google or rules, and that it might bypass them. So if you're having that issue, this is where Process Builder comes in handy, because you can also add to the assignment a chatter post, right, from the record, so they get it. Again, another way to get it. But it's also worth mentioning that if this is net new to your organization, the email's good, the chatter's a bonus, and then, of course, some type of reminder to go check the queue as part of their routines. So go check the queue to see what's there, check the queue to see what's there. Now, typically, people who work in queues understand this, and they're already habituated to it. But if it's net new to your organization, this could become something that you need to remember to reinforce as part of your change management process. Now, as far as escalations and when they occur, that's a little timer, just like we didn't really get into workflow rules with timed events, although we could, that when you have timed events, so all of those future actions get scheduled now. So I'm going to stop and make sure you get this. So whenever you're using automation, if there's some type of action that gets delayed to be executed in the future, it actually gets scheduled. It all happens now. It gets scheduled now. So if you went to my website, Salesforce Habits, and you listened to the 12-minute, 38-second video, which I know is too long, and we're going to redo that in a minute. But one of the things it says is, go ahead and sign up now to start now. But if you're not ready to decide now, here's a lesson in productivity. Always decide now when you're going to start. So if you're not going to start now, then the next decision is to decide when you're going to start, because that's the next now you need to be concerned with. If you leave that decision in your head, that creates an open loop, which causes stress, which is something you want to avoid. So we're doing that at a systemic level, but it's also just a good point in time to note that this is also how productivity works in real life. Never leave the site of a decision without making a decision about when you're going to start to take action on that situation. And if you're not going to do it now, then decide when you're going to do it by. It's also a leadership principle. I read Giuliani's book a decade or so ago on leadership, just because he happened to be the mayor during 9/11. And one of the things I can tell you is that there's a lot of stories in that book and a lot of ad hoc stuff. But what's in there that's really useful, one of the 3 useful pieces of information that you can use as a leader, is that a leader should never make a decision until they have to. So always deciding when you're going to make the decision is a key decision to always make. So you have as much time as that deadline to collect as much information to avoid analysis by paralysis. You could also avoid, by delaying a decision, at least, a certain period of time, you also avoid making a decision with too little information. But always decide when you have to decide. That can always change. Circumstances, new stuff could come to light. And if it does, then you just operate on whatever amount of information you have at the time you need to make the decision. It's just a good productivity tool. So we do escalation rules, and then we set the timer. So once the record meets the criteria, it's going to set the timer just like any other assignment rule. So, and again, in theory, this works really simple, but in practice, it takes a little bit of practice. So when this case ages over a certain period of time, and that's always done in whole minutes, unless you pick 30 minutes, then it's going to be a half hour. So there's a little theme going on here, right? Think about this. When we subscribe to reports or schedule anything in Salesforce, we're always given a window that it has 30 minutes to make sure it happens by that time. So that's a built-in feature of Salesforce, knowing that at some moments in time, the moment you want to execute that command, there may be other stuff ahead. There may be a traffic jam on the servers. And because computers can't multitask either, just like you, the human beings who can't multitask, they say, well, we're going to put them in line and we'll guarantee that they'll never be delayed more than 30 minutes. That's a service level agreement that all things kind of work like that in Salesforce. So that's just a little something you want to keep in mind when you're deciding. Sometimes between a question, it might say something to the effect of exactly at the time selected, or within 30 minutes, or within 5 hours. Within 30 minutes is a key. That's a little tip, a tool tip for you. Don't be a tool, take the tip. Now, response rules are just that. You got to create an auto response rule. Typically, you want to match them for each of your nodes in assignment. You would also match them typically for each node in the auto response. Now, the exception to that is when you do your little tracking document to say, okay, step 1 meets this criteria and this person gets it. Step 2, what do they call it? The sort order for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, whatever they happen to be. You might find out that it's the same response message for 1 through 3 and 4 and 5. Fine. In that case, you could have that done, but typically you match them up and they get their, depending on what it is, they're getting customized responses, which will be more relevant and palatable by the customer when they get that email that says, oh, it's me. It's me, not somebody like me or somebody who's not me, right? You want to know it's me. There's some other tools you got in order ways. Take your Service Cloud to the next level. You remember you can customize the page, the contents, the fields, the buttons that appear on the page. You can customize your email templates. You got entitlement management, which is a tool. You got omni-channel, which is a whole other tool. A lot of these will go much deeper into during the Service Cloud portion of the SuperUser Academy. And then macros are advanced admin functions and features, but what they basically do is they're manual automation, so that you could pick from several macros that it takes your decision to kind of move it through. You've got other utilities, which are like those little buttons along the bottom. You got notes, history, soft phones, and more that you can add to the footer of the console, which we're not going to go too deep into, but just know that there's other tools available. Stay in the level of which your test is going to be as well. And again, of course, you should knock all these out. So I'm going to retake this particular challenge, and I'm going to launch my playground, and I'm going to ask you to do the same. And if you ran into any trouble doing this, let me know what it is. Otherwise, we will bust open this in order to see that. So the first step is to create a queue called panel 1 and an assignment rule to route cases that contain panel 1 to that queue. All right, great. So let's just do that one step at a time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to, I think we're going to service setup, see what's there. And I'll do a quick tour of the service setup. So the first thing, you say, well, I don't see the queues. Well, yeah, hang on. I'm not going to go through these. These are great for you to go through. I'm going to take you through the actual setup menu. So under the user panel, you can see you have queues in the side panel under the user section. So here I've got no queues. So I'm just going to click new. And I'm going to call this queue. Whoops. Why are you being a jerk? Jerk. Panel 1. And then I choose who my users are in that panel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, this is part of the case. Now, if you notice, there's a lot more objects here than cases and leads. However, there's only 2 standard objects in this list, and that's cases and leads. So we're going to choose cases as the object. And then we're going to decide which people we're going to add to that. So remember, public groups, roles, role subordinates, and individual users. These are the same 4 elements that make up any group, right? So a public group can be made up of users, roles and subordinates, and other public groups. It's important to know as you create public groups in order to make your little mix of users, depending on the size of users that you want. It's always better to manage groups versus individual users for that. So I'm just going to choose myself. That only thing, I think there's only, we'll see if they can be added to the group. Yeah, so they got to have the license in order to be added to that object, and that covered that. Woohoo! Awesome. Now we're going to create an assignment rule. So if we go to setup, see what's there in the setup home. All right, so now we're going to do assignment rules. Let's see where it lives here, if I remember. It's going to be under service. Case assignment rules. There it is under process automation. They moved it around a little. Now, we talked about teams, account and contact and opportunity teams. There's also case teams you might notice on my screen. Well, while that's true, case teams are managed by the administrator. Something to know for later on. Case teams are managed by the administrator. So now I'm going to create a, does it want me to create an assignment rule? Yep, assign panel 1. So I got to create a new rule. And of course, it's got to be active. Now I know it's not really active yet, but I don't really have much going on, so I'm good. So the description contains panel 1. So let's go into that rule and see how that works. So I'm going to create, so rule entries are this, it's just like process builder, every node, right? So the first one I'm going to say is, this is sort order number 1. And then somewhere in the description, the case description contains panel 1. That's all it's going to look for. And then I'm going to assign it to the queue. I'm going to pick any email template to notify it. Let's just see what's there. And then, of course, I could add my predefined case team. It's really important you pay attention to this. This is where you would add your predefined case team. And that's part of the assignment rules. You automatically assign, and then you could automatically reassign anybody who's already there. So it's not on this particular test, but it's there. All right, now the next thing we need is an escalation rule, which is right here at the bottom. And we need to name it panel 1. Make sure it's active. All right. So when do we escalate? Well, when we click the rule entry, okay. So we're going to create, let's edit this. Anything here? Nope, save that. So the first thing we're going to do is the new rule, whoops. A new rule, feel like Bill Maher. New rule, sort order 1. And now, so this is going to be when the criteria is met. So we want to use the business hours specified on the case based on when the case is created. So that's the criteria to kick off the escalation rule. Now we have to say, when do these actions take place? So this is a lot like workflow if we'd have done some more workflow rules. So now we're going to say, case is not closed after 30 minutes, which means we leave this blank. And then we're going to assign the case to myself, because that's what it's looking for. We can notify the case owner, but then we have to do a notify template. And you can set up to 5 hard-coded emails. Now, this little box is important too. Let me explain why this box is important. On any workflow, that is workflow rules, auto assignment, escalation, you can add up to 5 hard-coded emails. So if nothing else, and it doesn't matter where the emails have come from, you can just add up to 5 there. Let's see. Okay. And then I got a template to add. Oh, I got to put 30 minutes. Thought I clicked 30, did not. There it is. So let's just check the challenge, see if I did it right. If not, let's see if I can fix what's wrong. And if you did yours, if you have any questions about it, go through it and see what happens, and I'll be here to answer your questions. So I want you to complete this setup. No queue for the case object was found. Oh, I'm in playground 1. Sorry. Let me go to my playground 2. All right, that all worked out. And let me give you a minute to complete that. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, okay, give you a minute or 2 to do that. I really want to get your fingers on this. So case automation is awesome. But let's go through any challenges or questions you had to doing it. All right, give me a chat when you're done.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cal.
Oh, you did it right. Perfect. Thanks, Gil. All right, perfect. All right, great. So let's, Amy, you're okay too, I would imagine. So let's talk about digital engagement on multiple channels. So this is where it really, this is called digital engagement, right? So you would start with adding email and then web. Those are the two simple formats that you want to add. Everything else is kind of extra in that regard. So, and again, it really, in order to get this, one of the things I'll tell you to do is at this point, take your playground and set up a couple more down the road, like when you set aside time for your homework and those things, right? So, so case management really starts with collecting. Where and how do you collect inquiries from your customers, right? So, so because your customers carry their problems with them wherever they go, and because they're more connected than ever before, there's a couple of things you got to plan for in engagements. But basically, look, the web, the phone, the email, and directly from your users answering the phone or email or the web, right? Let's think about that, and that's what all these are for. So, are there email attachments that your clients send you? If it's under 25 megabytes, that's fine. That means you have a different email to case platform that you would use. One's easier to set up than the other. Do your outgoing emails route through your email server for compliance reasons? If they can go through Salesforce, then that's a different kind of email to case platform you need to use. Do you use templates? Are there branding requirements? If you don't have all that built, then the answer is no. So you need to build it, because while you're building it out, you need to have all those requirements. Can you add a code snippet to our customer website to display a web form? Oh yeah, absolutely. Salesforce is totally built for that, right? So what they're saying there is, can you have web to case? Can you have some crappy HTML that points them in the right direction to get the fields filled out based on what kind of problem they're having? Absolutely. You can even create flows for that. Yes, it's actually the last one is yes, but not in this module. We'll do more later. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about add email. So there's two types of email service. There is web email to case, and then the other one. And I have a little dyslexia around this one. I have a really tough time. There's on-demand email to case. So there's on-demand, and then there's email to case. So one that uses a downloadable email agent to keep all traffic within a network's firewall, and one that doesn't. The email agent is used for orgs that have specific security policies and attachments over 25 megabytes. That's the key that really you as the admin need to be aware of. Over 25 meg, email to case, I guess. Otherwise, you got to contact support to get that downloadable email to case, and just use on-demand email to case, which is basically self-serve email to case for yourself. So you basically click service, email setup, turn your emails into cases. You basically connect your email address, select your email provider, and then the email address that organization email address, right? So support@yourcompany.com, info at, help me, damn it, at yourcompany.com, whatever that is, right? Uh, and so you can have multiple emails. If they send it to support, to emergency at, all those things, right? And now once you verify that email as a valid email that you have control over, you get both sides of it, then you can add that email to your system. And then once you validated the system, then there's an email forwarding link that basically is a gobbledygook email address that Salesforce will use to send to your email address that's been validated. And you set it up in your email forwarding application to send things directly to Salesforce. So in one way, it's really slick. Another way, it's just still basically in the background, kind of dumb. And then Salesforce will test it to make sure it works, and then you're done. Now, when a customer sends an email to that address, they automatically get a case created. And you have a couple decisions you need to make is, does it create a contact and an account simultaneously? If some rando sends you an email, maybe you could set it that way. We'll get into that a little down the road. But you got to advertise that email address wherever your customers would look for help in order to get it to work. Now, you can add a web form service to your website, and it's called Web to Case. Now, Salesforce invented Web to Case and Web to Lead back when they first started, and they've never updated the HTML. They believe in the philosophy of it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, people like prettier HTML web forms than we liked back in '98. So you're going to have your HTML person clean it up a little bit. Anyway, here we go. So you also have to set up Web to Case. You hit yes, you enable it. You can add reCAPTCHA, which is basically a filter to make sure it's a human sending you one instead of Autobots doing it and just kind of wearing out your digital system and annoying your people, spamming and all that other bull. But then you have to select a response template initially. Now, obviously, let's see. Hide record information is new. Oh, I like it. Okay, and if you want to use an email signature that's different than the one in the response template, you can enter that new email signature there. It's going to be plain text. And then you could generate the form. Basically, you pick the fields that you want on the form, click on whatever URL. When you do it, you generate all that HTML code, copy it, paste it into a notepad, send it to your web developer, and they take care of it from there. That's it. And it doesn't store it. So when you go back, if you want to create another form with different fields or the same form with the same fields, you still have to recreate them nonetheless with the same HTML code either way. Now, the truth about that is there's a couple of fields in there that matter. And once you understand the HTML code, it's a really simple thing to not, once this is active, it will basically listen to any web form on the web. So there's other tools on the App Exchange that other people have more robust forms that do more stuff. You're not limited to the rudimentary nature of this 1998 technology, but it is core technology that works, and you need to understand how it works. Okay. So a couple other tools that they're available, but you won't be tested on or really work are call center. And one thing to remember about Salesforce is that any telephony service that lives on the web can be integrated with Salesforce. It's called Open CTI, Computer Telephony Integration. And it basically allows you to plug and play almost any Salesforce application into almost any phone system. It just has to be connected to the web somehow. You could also set up self-service communities. You could do social customer service. So right now, if you went and watched some of those YouTube videos and posted a comment, if I allow you to, on those YouTube videos, that would create a case. And that's part of my strategy post-April is as we host our training videos on YouTube as the link, if you add a comment to the YouTube, it's going to come back to us as a case comment, which would create a case and allow us to service you via that video. So that'd be pretty cool if it works really like I wanted to, because I don't want to use Twitter. Because my Twitter is always, I don't really use it. You could also use chat and other embedded services. You could, there's mobile toolkits. There's also messaging toolkits for like SMS and Facebook Messenger, which might be, I don't want to go that route yet. My Essentials edition limits me to one social channel. I haven't looked at the price for more. And then field service, this goes into a more in-depth feature set called Field Service Lightning. Field Service Lightning is an add-on product like high velocity sales. It's an add-on product because you're going to do a lot of it. You want all of the automation and benefits to basically save you time from doing it yourself. I don't think there's anything, well, there are a couple of things like job schedulers, inventory, and more that you can do without, with or without web connections, basically to run your field service team. Okay, so let's check out the quiz. Clearly when I did this quiz, I weren't paying attention. So let's see how I do now. So I'm in my incognito tab. And let's see what some of these are. So on-demand email to case. So let's see. So this is a good training ground. So on-demand is what I love about this is that it says it accepts all attachments regardless of size. Forget the size limit. Do you remember there being any size requirements whatsoever? No, right? No size. There was a thing with size requirements. So there's nothing in Salesforce that where size does not matter. It all matters. Now, converts an email to cases, leads, and opportunities. That never happens with, especially, it only happens with cases. So it's email to case is the only feature set built into Salesforce, not the other ones. You can have emails as leads that you convert to a lead manually or by using your side panel. But again, nope. It sends email traffic outside of your network's firewall, which is exactly what on-demand email to case does. It sends it's basically sending email directly from Salesforce to your customer so that you don't have to run through your firewall. If you trust Salesforce and you don't need it behind your firewall, that's totally fine. And I'm almost sure that's the case. Remember, because the other one, email to case, that you have to have service support, does do it behind your firewall. And that was one of the email services you did, which was so the downloadable email agent keeps all email traffic within your network's firewall and one that doesn't. So there's clearly one that does and one that doesn't. And on demand doesn't do it behind the firewall because for orgs with specific security policies and attachments larger than 25, anyway, so it's the one that does it is within specific security policies and attachments larger than 25 megabytes is the email to case that you need to activate. Otherwise, it's on demand. And I always struggle with that one, so I got to read it. Web to case does generate HTML to send to your customers, does let customers submit via your website, does support the case fields you choose, and we did that, and it's a standard limit of 5,000 cases a day. So if your organization is big enough that you're getting more than 5,000 cases a day, there is a solution for that. It's just called money. And you give it to Salesforce and you talk to people, and depending on how much money you give them, how much they'll let you go over that. But really, you should spend some money in R&D to cut that shit down, or you're using cases in a different way. So it's not it is all of the above, right? Because it's more than one, definitely. And if you're not sure, just go with all of the above. If you know for sure, there's none of the options. Now, communities is a self-service web forum that's a little more robust than just what you post on your website. Now, if you've got Essentials, you'll see that Essentials has a little community built in for your service. It's pretty awesome. All right. There we go. And we're going to tackle the next unit. Oh, we're back to this one. So that completes it for now. If you've done all the rest. Any questions, comments, or concerns about the Service Cloud Lightning experience? What are you taking away from this module? Okay. Anything? Anything useful? Something come new to you that you didn't know?
Setting up service looks relatively easy. Our company's not there, but I know we'll be eventually doing it.
Yeah, it is relatively easy, but it gets complicated really fast. Because service isn't easy, and what I mean by that, Gil, is as you start handling customer problems, the goal is to get customers to self-serve simultaneously while getting your product not to cause any of the self-service requirements, right? So so because of that dual nature of service that you're learning from and adjusting internally, you're also trying to educate and proliferate your knowledge to your customer to self-serve without touching your people. That becomes the challenge in customer service. Just so you know, that's always the challenge. All right, so let's jump in to, we should be able to wrap this up and finish up today. I'm going to talk a little less than more, hopefully. Hopefully, we'll see if that works. And then we'll get started with the, I think I did that. I'm going to put that into the chat. So this is now knowledge. Okay. All right. So we're going to describe a knowledge base, talk about the benefits, but we've already talked about it a little bit, right? So it's that it's really where you could save your store and publish your FAQs. You could also have it as part of your SOPs, your policy procedures. Instead of somebody sending an email, no, Amy will resonate with this one, getting an email that says, from this point forward, this is the new procedure. Really? Really? You're going to count on an email? Really? That's a douchebag test, and you failed. You successfully passed the douchebag test, proving you're a douchebag. Because who's going to remember that? That's like sending a memo and saying, well, it was in the memo on, March 14th, 2007. You remember that memo? It's in there. No, it's not it's a bad policy. So just stop that and use this because it's better. So it helps customers answer their own questions, it increases agent productivity, and let's see, if we're going to do I think we can do it in our own. I'm not really sure. Let's just check. We'll see if the Service Cloud trial is going to be worth it. Not going to do it right now. Let's see what happens there. Just see real quick. I think we'll be good to go. Okay. So a couple of things. So when you get a new case, you'll see on the side panel, you can search knowledge. You can create an article, just like quickly create an article, sort your search results, view details, work with the article itself. Basically, when you select an article that answered your questions that you might have had about how to solve the customer's problem, then you can attach that article to the completed case. Now, let me warn you about something. When it comes to Service Cloud, you're right, Gil, it is easy to set up. What's hard to set up is the habit of teaching your service people to trust the knowledge articles, not their memory, because memory will screw up your service level agreement almost every time, right? Especially if somebody remembers the procedure and does an old procedure instead of following the new procedure. So when you launch knowledge, you've got an opportunity to create a new trigger for new behaviors and monitor against it based upon the knowledge articles that people set, and then the reporting you do initially to find out if they're actually following the steps in the knowledge article they created, or they're just clicking it and then doing something else. That's a gap you can identify and then target in those users that are not following the procedure of following the knowledge article. Does that make sense? And so when you get through this, there's other resources and documentation about Salesforce knowledge. But let's just see what the quiz says. All right, so I am setting up a knowledge, Prepare your knowledge base for success. Nope, damn it. So let's talk about this one and then we'll jump to the next one. Okay. Make sure I'm on the right one. Thank you. I got to be in my incognito. And I'll go to the challenge. Wait a minute, we didn't do this one yet. So we got to gather the information that we need and make our plan for that, which is plan, then execute the plan. So first round of planning is what you think. Second round of planning is what they think. Third round of planning is what everybody's agreed to, right? So you want to capture the right content. What kind of information do you want to publish? Do you have that documentation somewhere that you can import? Can you reuse other emails even? Documents, whatever you have, you can import those into cases, into knowledge articles, so you can use them on your cases. Are there fields on your cases that you want to use that would suggest a particular article? Say, for example, they chose this product, therefore they need this folder full of cases, and then you can start creating a recipe that helps figure it out. Do you need a workflow or an approval process to manage the articles that are being submitted? So is there somebody, is there an authority that says, yes, this is the procedure, so that you must follow this procedure, not some other ad hoc procedure or your own memory of some other procedure? The other part of that is that, whoops, I don't know what I hit there. The other part of that is when people deviate from the steps, and they will. and they should. But I just told you they shouldn't. I know, but they should when the steps don't work. Why? Why don't steps work? Well, because Salesforce changes every 4 months. You as the admin might be changing it. Other stuff may go, the technology on the other side may change. Like there's lots of reasons why it's going to stop working. So in the knowledge article functionality, it's not just a PDF that you attach, right? It also gets rated. It also gets validated that it works. It also gets approved. Did I just close? Mud. So nope. I want, forget about you. Okay. So we'll just do it here until I do it there. I close down my incognito window. Let's see how that goes. Probably won't remember me. Probably don't know how to log in anymore, Dominic. All right, let's see. Oh, so pain in the butt. Oh, 49. All right, there, buddy. Okay, so let's just take the test, see what happens. Skip for now. I'm good for now, buddy. Buddy gal, buddy gal. All right. So we gathered the information. We answered the questions. What type of audiences are you sharing it with? Is it internal resources like field technicians? Is it external resources like something else, like, customers or vendors or something like that? How do you track article feedback? So users can give articles thumbs up or thumbs down, or they can not use articles. So if articles don't get used, two reasons. One, the problem's not occurring, so the article's value goes down, or the article sucks and users are using something else. And then you can monitor how often an article is attached to a case or not. And then you can go back with some little bit of foo, go back and see if they're following those steps or not. Xfinity. So we'll go from there. You got to organize the data too, right? So, you organize the data into groups of information, folders, categories, if you will, and that way you can better assign it to different users that are going to access it. So you can have groups and then data. You can restrict the data. You can make it searchable or not, and how searchable it is. And then determine who does what. So again, it's sort of the same thing, like what do they need to see? Identify your groups of data and users and decide what they need to see and what they need to do in order to get to a resolution of known problems or issues that customers may have. So that's the article lifestyle. You create it, publish it, you update it, you can archive it, you can delete it, create, publish, update. In this process is also an approval process that goes there. So you can decide if users are read-only users, contributors, or the knowledge admin. You need to pay for the license for, I think, both contributors and admins. Everybody else can use it for free. All right, let's just take the quiz real quick. What should you do to ensure that the best articles are suggested as agents solve cases? Let's see. Best articles are suggested. All right, so descriptive data categories for your cases, and your articles. I'm guessing that that's the right one. Noodling on it. So they need the ability to manage article, read, create, edit, archive, publish, and delete article. That's that one, manage basically that whole process. And then let's take a quiz. Oh, what? Oh, damn it. They don't need delete. Only the knowledge manager needs delete. So that was the wrong one for me. Those are my two answers. Whoops. See, if you don't pay attention to every little detail in the question, you'll get them wrong. Okay. I'll let you finish. Any questions, comments, concerns about those? By the way, very little you got to remember about knowledge until you get to the Service Cloud Lightning. You don't really do a lot with knowledge. That's why they're only testing you on it. That's a good indication in these trails. If you're not actually challenged to do it, may not, it's something to remember, but you know, and it'll be a little harder to remember because of that. All right, so we're going to set it up. And then so, who needs knowledge licenses? Well, it takes money, so you want to be judicious about who gets it because it also allows permissions. And so it's not just the money, it's the money that the bad users, they had the permission to do stuff, you would not let them do it. So don't. So most people don't need a license if all they're going to do is read the articles and use them. Only people that are going to create them need the licenses. So just check out how many in your company info. It'll tell you how many licenses you have with service. So many people will write or edit articles. He has his dog license. So if they're going to create or edit articles, they need a license. And so, you know, that's what you need to remember. If they're going to create and edit articles, they need a license. That's the sentence to remember. Some licenses are included, some are not. Put that in there. All right. And it's on their user record. See that? It's a user record license. So you do it per user, and then you also need to enable knowledge to make sure that you've got Lightning knowledge enabled. How long is this video? I'm not going to do it. And then there's knowledge setup. So initially, you can go through the setup to do that. I want to finish the challenge before we do this. We'll watch the video at the end. So creating articles, there's a knowledge object. And if you've got the permission, you can click new. And then you can choose the type of article that it is. How much will I save? It's also a 5 meter. And again, some of this can be sourced by your customer's own cases, right? That's where you want to get it. And then you put in your question, and then you put in your answer. And then you can edit the answer. And let's see what this does. So yeah, I'm going to ask you to do this, but let's just do the challenge and see where we're at with it. So what can you set up? What can you set up using the Lightning Knowledge Setup Flow? I think it's going to be B and C. Data categories and article summary. Since I skipped over that. So it automatically enables knowledge, assign the licenses to article authors, and set up data groups and categories. So let's see what that is. Let's see, type that in there. So it doesn't. It automatically enables it. It assigns the licenses to article authors and sets up data groups and categories. So categories is here, article summary is not. So C is a wrong answer. I was wrong, and that's the user. D is right. It's always good to check your answers with whatever information you got. The article summary appears in the search results. If I'm not mistaken, and again, I don't do a whole lot of this, so it's going to show up question, the answer, and the summary. I'm going to go within the search results, but it might be in the case description or in the title area. Let's see that again. So let's do a control F. Let's look for summary. The summary appears in the search results. Oh, my instincts sometimes are so right. All right, D, search results. So I'm going with D and D. Ta-da! All right, questions, comments, concerns. So let's take a look at it since we didn't do it. Let's just take a look at some of this because, hey, we could, right? So under setup, we could type in knowledge. Go to knowledge settings. But wait, service setup home. Let's go through the flow. Let's see what the flow do. So I'll add my user. Why am I not able to add here? Because I don't have any user licenses. Stupid old flow. Okay. So a couple things. Let's review the setup information. Why not? I mean, it's a nice bold banner, and I don't want to dismiss it without making sure I read it. So the first thing it is, we've enabled it. So we're going to allow users to create edit articles from the Articles tab. That's classic only. Activate validation status field. Allow users to add external multimedia HTML content standard, classic only. Article summaries, where they're available. So I can also enable the automatic loading of rich text editor when editing an article. Now, quick note about documentation. Here's what I love about documentation. It's documentation. A couple things it always tells you is the requirements to use this feature and then sort of how to use it sometimes. Sometimes it just gives you, it depends on what level of the help you're on. So, setting up knowledge in Salesforce Classic is one thing. And that's probably different than all these others. So all of this is under knowledge, right? But it tells you what it's available in. What editions it's in. So it's available in the unlimited edition with Service Cloud, as well as it's an additional cost in professional, enterprise, performance, and developer editions. And to enable it, you need the customized app, which is an admin permission set. Let's see what else it was asking me. Setup and lightning experience, compare, limitations, guided setup flow, all good stuff in here. see where it's at. All right, so again, when we go to setup, if we go to users, whoops, before I go there. Allow users to create an article from a case. I'm going to cancel all this and just go, let's go to the users first. So if I go to one of my users, and I think I've got a Salesforce user. Yep, that's me. And then admin guest. If I edit that user record, you'll see on the user page, first and foremost, is are they a knowledge user or not? And if I can save them, it means I had a license available. And if you want to know where that is, in my company information, remember, I've got my user licenses under my company information. And one of those licenses is knowledge. Really? Let's take a look in Classic, because that might be it. What? Oh, it's a feature license. So yeah, I've got 2 and 2 in use. How many do I need? I got marketing users. These are all feature licenses. Sorry, they're feature licenses. All right. Questions, comments, concerns about Lightning, setting up Lightning. All right, good. Congratulations on earning your badge. If you've earned your badge, if you didn't earn your badge, earn your badge, earn it. I'm going to close out the help. I'm going to go back to here. And then we will go back to our trail mix. Talk about what's next on Thursday. Oh, look at that. Building a battle station app. How long should this take? Yeah, this should take a couple of hours. So I'm not going to require that you do this. We're going to move on from this and into session 5. But if you want to take this on for yourself, this is a really great little project because you create the app. The Battle Station app has a lot of cool features built into it. First and foremost, you end up building out the entire application, which is really just a set of tabs, right? And so you're going to create an object called Battle Station. From there, you're going to create additional items that you want to track in the feed, plus other objects that are going to, you're going to create the Battle Station construction as the application name, which is when you click on the 9 dots, it'll give you your different application. And whoops. Put you back there. It'll also have you address which profiles need to be adjusted to access the app. And then, so that's the first part. Then you got to build out the objects and the data model itself. Again, it takes you to schema builder so you can see how things need to be organized. You're going to build that custom object. Also, creating fields, customized fields for your weapon status, all those kind of things. So you're building out the object itself, customizing it, and then modifying the user experience by customizing the page layout, adding some data, toilet paper. Who's got toilet paper? Burrito shop in town. Amy pointed this out. I love them. Great marketing. For every order of $20 or more, you get a free roll of toilet paper.
Bell
That's
Street
awesome.
burritos. Bell Street burritos.
Well, that's in it. Yeah, right. It's all the way here to Tucker. Go Tucker. Anyway, so look, if you want to take on a project that's really a lot more than let's see, it says 60, 100, 35, 45, 50, 150 minutes, which is about 2.5 hours. If you can get it done in 2.5 hours, I think you're awesome. You might get it done in an hour and a half. Awesome. You might get it done in 4 hours. I don't care. I would recommend you get it done. It's a great one. We're going to move on to session 5 after this. I'm going to play with that, but this is a solid project to take on over the next couple of weeks if you don't do it between now and Thursday. Any comments, questions, or concerns? You guys seem pretty solid. 6 o'clock. If you need anything, email me or Amy. You can even create a case to support@salesandtechnology.com. Guys, we're moving through this. So some of this stuff you're gonna have to redo and get your fingers in it, get your finger memory going. But this should all start to be making sense as it all comes together. Okay. Last but not least, wash your hands, stay calm. All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.